Welcome to the Series 31 podcast.
Hey everyone. On today's show, you'll hear a close personal friend who is an expert in fitness, wellness, yoga, and personal training. You're going to hear him teach you how to optimize your physical and mental health and what it was like to be on the TV show Dragon's Den. Enjoy the episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. I am your host, Chris Tawes, and if you want to find motivation and energy, then you have clicked on the right show.
Nice.
My guest today is a close friend of mine from Richmond, BC. He's been a personal trainer and yoga instructor for the past 25 years. First began studying law and then shifted his focus to business and English. He's been very successful, running multiple businesses in the Lower Mainland, such as A-Stone Fitness, Lava Yoga Fitness, and the 24-hour gym Sports Central, just to name a few. He has also appeared on numerous TV and radio programs. In 2023, he and his wife moved to Japan and have opened their own business called Turquoise Wellness Studio, specializing in sports fitness, nutrition, and yoga. And he's a kick-ass ball player for the Tokyo Osaka Warriors.
Thank you.
His third ball team he has played for in Japan over the past 25 years. On Instagram, he is referred to as Mr. Exercise. He's just an incredible person, and I'm so glad he has agreed to be on the show today. Friends, please welcome Mr. Darren Shane.
Thanks, Chris. Well, hey, a longtime friend of mine. We've known each other, boy, for the better part of 20 years, 25 years.
At least 25 years.
A long time, yeah.
Years.
It's good to see you here back in our home turf of Richmond in Canada.
Yep.
Yeah, back from Japan, a brief trip here.
Mm-hmm.
It's always good for us to reconnect when I'm in town, right?
Oh, I always appreciate it. You always reach out. You always let me know when you're coming in town, and we always make an effort to make it happen.
Yeah.
So, it's another chapter, right?
You know it is, my friend.
Welcome, man. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
I thought we'd start off kind of like at the beginning a little bit. When did fitness start becoming like a big part of your life?
Sports have always been pretty paramount in my life. And, I think if I look back at the history of when I was younger in sports to the current age, fitness was not as paramount. Really, it wasn't. You look now, kids have got coaches, trainers, there's just gyms that have so much more access. Although I do remember getting my first set of dumbbells, and I must have been about 12 years old.
Well,
I did. And I look at the book, The Wider, it had like the Arnold thing. So that was sort of it planted the seed. And I always liked it. But really, fitness has been part of my life forever. And then work-wise, my older brother was in the fitness industry before. He's a physio now. And, I had been in Australia where we met. We a couple times we hooked up there in Sydney and then in Perth. And I came back from Australia. And that was when I first started my studying. And that was sort of around 99, 2000. And my brother said it's a great industry. And I originally got into it more for my knowledge rather than making a career out of it. But I found I really enjoyed it. I found, I was learning a lot rather than what I was just previously doing. And I was working at a golf club at the time, and I was able to offer what I was learning to some of the members there just to get some clients. And I think, wow, it really was impacting people. And then, you fast forward 25 years later, and, I've had my own private studios, maybe 4 of them, and I've ran a 24-hour, 60,000 square foot thing with, thousands of members, 30 staff. So I've seen a lot in the industry from my own company that I create with my products, as we know, which we'll talk about. So I've traveled the world, and it's been a rewarding industry.
It really has. And I think that you nailed it. Like, you saw the impact that you were having there. I think you were working at Mayfair Lakes, right?
Absolutely.
That's what it was.
And also, being in this industry, health has always been something I've liked, but it's that one little thing, like that bird on my shoulder, that makes me, really want to be healthy, my best version of myself to motivate others, to encourage my clients, and just to live a healthy life.
So tell us a little bit about the Human Trainer. That's one of your big
products. Yeah. Well, I had first gone to Japan around 2003, 2004. I came back from Japan, and I was working for Gold's Gym in Tokyo. And then outside of Gold's Gym, I also had a bunch of expat clients. One of my clients was the president of Prudential Insurance. Very busy guy. So I trained him at his apartment. And for example, I remember, he had this long corridor, and we're doing lunges, and, I had to try to bring some fitness equipment if he didn't have it.
Right.
There wasn't a lot. in the sense of good quality resistance bands. So when I came back from Japan, a friend of mine and I, we started the company, A Stone Fitness, which our core product at the time was our Ripcord resistance bands. And I mean, we have sold hundreds of thousands of those globally over the years. Around 10 years later, through our R&D, we launched another product, our Human Trainer, which is a dual suspension body weight suspension gym. And that product, really got us globally even further, where we started traveling to different trade shows from Germany to Vegas to California, to also being featured on Dragon's Den.
Great, man.
And so, again, we've been able to put quality products in people's hands to help them, be able to exercise, whether they're at home or they're traveling. So it's been, again, another rewarding thing to be able to see that we're helping people.
So tell me more about that experience on Dragon's Den. I find that really fascinating. How did it start? And tell me about that day.
Sure. So to get on to Dragon's Den, let's backtrack so people understand how do you even get on.
Right.
Each province, they have usually 1 or 2 auditions per year if the show keeps running. And so they'll have a few of their cast that basically are just seeing people. So you want to try to do your best job to showcase your business in that, 60-second pitch. So we brought a couple of models, my business partner Joel and I, we put up a cage, and we really, we wowed them on that one. So they gave us a call. They said, we want you. But we had been designing this pretty cool rack, because racks, if I explain what it is, some sort of big frame, whether it's an A-frame or something that's heavy duty metal, strong to hold body weight.
Your weight.
Yeah, these straps. Yeah. We built this rack. It was literally a bulletproof glass rack. It had 4 of these Lexan glass sheets. Each sheet, my goodness, must have been 150 pounds.
Really?
Screwed in together. You could pound on them full weight with it wouldn't run. You'd be like jumping airborne. So they saw this thing and they said, no, this thing needs to be on the show with us. But this thing weighs thousands of pounds, requires a crate. And the week before the show, we were in Germany at the FIBO show. We had to fly that from Germany to Toronto. It was not cheap.
No, I was going to say.
And they didn't pay for much of it. But, nonetheless, it was a showstopper. I mean, this thing was unbelievable. You see people like literally kicking, extending their feet in the air, airborne. So that's was when we got on the show. But, why did we go on the show? Knowing that we did a lot of research, Chris, on what Dragon's Den ultimately is, it's a lot of things. But, I think historically, if you really look at it, more than anything, it's probably a reality TV show that happens to be about business.
Right.
Of course, deals happen. They do. And no one's going to discredit, but, we look at the statistics, most don't get deals. We went on for a marketing focus more than anything. Not really preparing, looking to get a deal. They offered us, 3 of the dragons offered us, $500,000. We were able to, on both parties, we didn't agree on what they offered because usually they want to take a large percentage.
Yes.
And, sometimes it's good. Sometimes it handcuffs a business from my experience of studying. But to be on the show, to have done all that preparation that when they interviewed us, and we were on the show for about 45, 50 minutes.
Oh, wow.
The show's only 5 minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But man, we had we nailed. But they just try to look for anything. They find home where they might, try to make you look bad or make them look good or have some sort of drama. But it was a great experience.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as we were done, I mean, what a relief in many ways, right? But it was a great experience.
Which one of the dragons did you really kind of connect with? Was it 5 of them generally?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Probably Jim and Arlene, I mean, not many people connect with Mr. Wonderful, Kevin, but a great guy, I mean, he knows his stuff.
He knows his stuff.
Again, you got to have your characters to make that show. And there's a big reason for their years and years of success.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So you're pushing your dream, you're going up there in front of the camera. What advice would you give to someone who has a dream, but is maybe having trouble getting it started?
I mean, dreams and visualizing your dreams and being committed to them. I mean, dreams don't happen overnight.
No,
usually they do. And usually a lot of sacrifice. I mean, a lot of people got to work a lot of hours. You got to be committed. You need to make, you got to save money depending on what someone's goal is and dream. I mean, everyone's very different. But you don't want to give up on your dreams.
No.
I mean, I believe that writing down what's so important to you and stay in the course. Whether it, be that you want to move overseas, whether you want to buy your first home. I mean, most things are realistic. Of course, we live in an expensive city, but when we talk about sacrifices, what does that mean? Does that mean I can't go to one more restaurant a week? I go 5 times a week. I go twice a week. Well, you're gonna have to cut back somewhere. You're gonna have to put a little bit more money away, on each paycheck, something that allows you that slowly prepares you to reach your dream. And I think, in my opinion, a lot of people go to bed at the wrong hour. They go to bed late. My grandpa used to say to me, and I remember it still, early to bed, early to rise,
Yeah.
keeps you healthy, wealthy, and wise.
Healthy, wealthy, and wise. I like that.
Yeah. And it's not easy. It's easy to be, up all night, watching more shows on our phones and, where maybe getting to bed earlier and getting up earlier. And while the rest of the world is sleeping, you're pounding away getting stuff done.
Right. So get to bed a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Wake up a little earlier and learn to sacrifice a little bit.
I believe
go for the
so.
dream, right?
I mean, if you just want to keep coasting, you can, but probably, in a world where cost of living is high, there's lots of challenges out there, you might need to be a step ahead. And I feel that going to bed early and getting up early is one of those key elements that will help you.
Yeah, that's good.
Uh-huh.
Can you tell me a time when life really knocked you down and what did you learn from it?
I've been pretty fortunate, Chris, that I really haven't had any knockdowns, and I'd be very grateful for that. A lot of hard work. I've pretty much had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 jobs at a time
Yes.
for the last, the better part of 35 years, and so, again, I think that trying to be easy on yourself.
Yeah.
A lot of people are hard on themselves. It's set very high bars, and that's okay. But if you don't achieve them, don't get so down on yourself. Try to mm, just realize that life has its meaning, and it'll unfold as it should. I mean, as a fairly young kid, and I don't know where it came from, the infamous desiderata. It's like a
Desiderata?
desiderata. Maybe it's a poem or a scripture. Oh man, it is. If you've never read it, search it. It is powerful. And I tell it to you, I tell it to everyone, check it out. Google it. You can see it. It is it maybe takes 3 minutes to read, but the words that are in that really speak to how the world is meant to be. The world is meant to unfold as it is, rather than trying to fight things.
I love that.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite books, I still read it here and there. My daughter's read it a few times, is The Alchemist, right? By Paulo Coelho. Something.
Absolutely.
Right? And it's all about that. Life's kind of getting you down, maybe obstacles in the way, and you keep pursuing that dream and it ends up becoming a reality. Maybe not the way you thought it was going to go, but you ended up achieving something pretty amazing. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we'll be right back after this short commercial break.
Do you want to get a quick getaway, but you don't want to cross the border and deal with brutal currency change? Then you should check out Gibson's BC. Just a short 40-minute ferry ride from Vancouver. You'll start to unwind and relax right away. You'll love beachcombers, coffee, bay pizza, and all the cute little shops downtown. Just north of Gibson's, up the Sunshine Coast, you'll find beautiful beaches, the ocean, and incredible rainforest hikes. My family just came back from our trip to Gibson's. We loved it, and we think you will too. Gibson's, BC. Come chill with us.
And now, back to the show.
Let's talk about you and your wife, man. I was at your wedding.
Yes,
She's
exactly.
amazing.
18 years is coming up here soon.
Do you have any marriage tips for everyone?
Yeah,
out
for
there?
sure. I mean, like a lot of things in life, whether it's marriage, whether it's coworkers, whether it's, everything, we have to make sacrifices. We have to find balance. It's not always about me, and, to make things work, you hope that you're with a partner that you care about, you love, and is everything perfect? Nothing's perfect, but you have to be willing, I said, sacrifice it, both people are unique and different in their own ways. And, if there's something that that triggers someone else, do your best to avoid it.
Maybe not do that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't like fighting, don't like being in the doghouse, and I do my very best to avoid that.
Yeah.
And trying to go for walks together, try to spend time together. We all could spend less time on our phones, be a little bit more in tune with our partners. But I think, respecting them, having your own space, and also, like I said, really knowing when to accept when someone's done something wrong. Don't blow up about it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I definitely have found that we've been doing these 20-minute walks now for a little bit.
Yes.
End of the night, we're busy, 3 kids. This allows us to get some together time, exercise, and talk about life and just to, connect for that 20 minutes. We're busy, so it just allows us that time to tell each other about our day.
Those walks are
and
important,
kinda
rather than just
what's looking forward to for tomorrow and get
course.
prepped up, right?
Communicating together rather than sitting on a couch,
Huge.
both with your phones in your hands, right?
Communication is huge. We've been working through that for a while. I found that the times that we've sort of been having some problems is when we're not communicating correctly.
Absolutely, Chris.
So
Just going sort of disengaged, just
Right?
floating by, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I know Matsumi's from Japan. You guys just moved to Japan. Can you
We
tell
did,
me a
yeah.
little bit about how you decided to do
Yeah,
that?
I mean, when we met, which is nearly 25 years ago in Japan at Gold's Gym in Harajuku, if anyone knows the area, we met there, and then she came to Canada for a little bit of a homestay, but we spent 20 years in Vancouver together. And we'd always talked about the possibility to go back to Japan. And, the timing was right. We'd been, going, once or twice a year for almost every year because her parents are there. And we'd found this really special town called Onjuku in Chiba.
Mhm.
It's right on the beach, stunning, beautiful beach. Sand is soft, the waves are beautiful, turquoise here, everywhere. And, that was sort of maybe the spark that really, I mean, we'd been talking about it.
I know. This is the
Yeah.
problem with
That's your job, right? Look outside.
Exactly.
Almost.
Off they go.
And, I mean, the cost of living, Chris, in Japan to Canada there's a pretty big difference, and that was a factor. North America has become continuing to be harder and harder for a lot of people, no matter how many jobs you have, right? Just, the more you make, the more you spend, the bigger the house you buy.
Yeah.
And, a standard house here in Japan versus Canada, Canada's what, 800 to $1 million, $2 million. I mean, you could buy a house, very basic house, for 20,000 up to 200,000. And then if you want to get something larger, bigger, the prices go up, but that's a pretty big difference.
20,000?
But you could buy a plot of land for
Really?
$2,000, $5,000.
Wow.
My town's got all these like pretty large sort of condo apartments that were built in the bubble that face the ocean. People were buying beachfront condos for $25,000.
Really?
You can't buy anything like that here. So that was a factor. I mean, even looking at food, you want to buy, a pack of chicken or a pack of eggs. What, you buy a couple healthy breasts of chicken here, that's $14, maybe, right? 10 to 14. There, it's $2 to $4.
That's a huge difference.
Eggs.
Yeah.
What does a dozen eggs cost here now?
Like $6 to $8.
Yeah, they're
right?
$1.50 to $3.
Wow. Yeah, I think, because I've always had the idea that Japan's an expensive
Of course.
place to live, right? You
Mhm.
think of all the future, the technology, and the
Mhm.
advancements. You think of it being this expensive
No,
place.
I mean, like anywhere you go to the 5-star restaurants,
Right, sure,
it's always,
yeah,
but
yeah.
things are cheaper there in general.
Yeah.
Like heart of Tokyo, there's obviously that, like, the Ginza, those are the, the New York, like,
Oh, yeah.
the Yale Town, whatever. That's a fairly expensive spot. But
Right,
outside of that, prices are considerably less. That was a factor.
Mhm.
And also, living here in Canada, my lifestyle and my wife's, we worked a lot.
Yeah.
Talking again about those sacrifices. I mean, I was doing a lot of 15-hour plus days, multiple jobs. My wife worked 10 to 15 hours in massage therapy. We certainly are working. We've got clients. We've been able to build this business in a year, but our lifestyle balance is better. So it was that sacrifice of putting all those years in,
Mhm.
knowing that what our dream was.
And now you're there.
Yeah. Waiting for you to come visit.
I know,
Yeah.
man. Selling it. So on a previous episode, we had member of Parliament Mark
Mhm.
Golden on, And he talked about how when he went to South Korea and Japan, one of the things he really noticed right away was just like, there's no sort of open addiction
Of course.
challenges happening, not a lot of, people just like milling around looking, like homeless,
know.
addicted. Do you find that that's true? And if it is,
Oh,
then
it is
what is Japan doing
so
differently?
different.
Yeah.
I mean, remember years ago I lived, when I was going to work, this is the 25 years ago, there was a park I used to have to pass. I was walking on my bike, and there were a few homeless guys
Okay.
that lived in the park. And I had to be at work early, so I was passing there at 6 a.m. These guys were up with brooms, cleaning and sweeping their little park they lived at.
Okay.
I mean, think of that.
Yeah.
How often do you see the homeless cleaning stuff? It's just dropping crap everywhere. You don't see many homeless people. It's pretty rare to see them. Maybe the odd time in a station you might, but almost none. And why is that? That's a good question. I mean, I think as far as drugs, it's a zero tolerance. So, we're North America, or at least Vancouver anyways, it's, a free for all. Drugs are everywhere.
Yeah.
So I think there's that, which is good. In North America, why is there such a problem? And does it start in the youth? Probably. It starts, parents are very busy. Maybe the kids are not being watched enough for some of them. And, there's this collective responsibility, was what they call it in Japan, which is why you see young kids walking by themselves in the train by themselves. And that collective responsibility is all eyes are on these people,
Okay.
to watch out. You have people like older people that are all waiting to walk the kids just to the school and they're all together. You don't see that in North America. This disengagement, everyone sort of, for the most part, looking out for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And, with the kids, I see them all running around playing games. They're not on their phones, and I see that. I'm like, wow, maybe the kids here, they're all playing. And so they're just disengaged a bit.
Yeah. So you're saying it's a cultural
It is a
difference for
cultural
sure.
difference, 100%.
Yeah.
And it's, to be honest, I quite like it. I quite like the fact that, you just don't see homeless people all over. You don't see drug addicts and addictions and garbage all over the place. That collective responsibility comes back the same to the garbage. You don't see garbage cans either. You bring your garbage, you take it home.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's that collectively trying to keep everything clean and respectful to each other, so that everyone, even in lineups in North America, you go to a lineup and people are cutting, they don't care about it. People are just systematically waiting, whether it's for a restaurant, to get on the train, not trying to budge.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, respect, right? That's
There's
why
mhm.
I like that. I like your answer. I wanted to ask that question because I feel like
It's a really good question, Chris.
yeah, people are talking about it all the time. I find like when I'm
Safety
out and
wise,
about,
you hear
yeah.
about that. If you drop your wallet, if you drop your phone, you're going to get it back. Someone's going to bring it to the station, or someone's going to say, "Hey, excuse me, something like you dropped it, right?
Right.
In here, you drop your wallet, you're pretty much not getting it back. The high likelihood, right?
And when you do give somebody something back
Yeah.
that you saw that they dropped or try to give a helping hand, the people seem so appreciative of it when they're here.
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
almost like they're expecting it not to happen.
Of course. They're in shock
So when
that
it does
yeah.
happen, they're even
You're
more
right.
appreciative of it, right?
Yeah.
What are some small changes one could do that would make a big impact on their quality of life?
Well, I think again that, like I said, that little quote, getting up early, going to bed early, getting that day started, trying to commit to your dream. Maybe, it might be going to bed a little earlier. It might be reading a little bit more. It might be, going for that walk, maybe doing some deep breathing, trying to slow things down for yourself, easy on yourself,
Mhm.
get out to the gym. If you don't have a gym, you don't need a gym. You can do push-ups, you can do squats, you can run on the spot, exercise releases the good things, the endorphins, right?
Yeah.
Makes you feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
Eat healthy food, drink more water, cut back on the other stuff in your life that may not be that good for you and also not good for your pocketbook.
I am definitely in trying to wake up earlier. That's been one small change I've been noticing is making a big difference on me.
I think so, right?
Right?
It does.
Yeah. It helps achieve that dream that you're doing because you're maximizing your time, right? Well, as you know, I work in emergency healthcare with
course.
long hours. and we deal with chronic stress. Can you walk me through a daily routine I should follow to optimize my health and energy?
Absolutely. I mean, I always say, for example, I was at the gym the other day with my mother and her sister, and, time is valuable. So in between, they sort of use one machine rather than just sort of standing there waiting for the next person. I said, Mom, you could be doing calf raises. You could be doing standing little leg raises. You could just be doing a little, just marching on the spot, even between your calls while you're working. There's always an opportunity, but most people just don't even consider it. You could do a couple of squats. You might be at a bar, you're like, oh, wow, look, there's a bunch. I could do a few push-ups. And it's not like you have to do a lot, but small amounts add up,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I like that you're already doing that walking at nighttime. That's something you can easily do.
Yeah.
Again, just holistically, what can you be doing to be feeling better? I'd say, again, be a little more active. And even if it's just short little bouts throughout the day, they compound to be a lot. Um, you know, I'm not sure how much fruit you eat, but fruits are good. Maybe
Not
and
enough.
yeah, well, a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
They just don't buy it. Making sure you have an apple, with you. But if you don't prepare for it, you've already prepared to fail.
Yeah.
Because you don't have anything with you. So that's important as well.
I like that you talked about exercise during your shifts.
Yeah.
Because that's something that I definitely do not do.
Well, no, a lot of people, they get home from work, they're already exhausted.
Yeah.
So that could be a real good way. I mean, if you can do it at home, even if you just put in 10 minutes, Chris, doesn't need to be half an hour. 5 minutes of just a short, intense thing where you're doing running on the spot. Maybe you're doing jumping jacks. You do a set of 5 squats, 5 push-ups. You hold a plank. Maybe you have a resistance band. Maybe you have a few dumbbells. Repeat it, and you're done. But again, that will add up rather than, oh, I'm too tired. I don't have any time. Usually when you're tired is when you need it the most, and it actually will give you that spike of energy.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I love that. I think I'm gonna bring a resistance band to work later and have it in my locker.
Yeah, no,
so that I
exactly, Chris.
can-
They
I
make a
can
big
use
deal.
that.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can stand even on your door because you probably have a door anchor, maybe,
Yeah.
put it in the door, and all of a sudden you've got your rows, you got your triceps, you
Yeah.
work your chest. Little things add up.
Man.
Uh-huh.
My last question, I think, is tell me a little bit about Turquoise Wellness Studio. This is your business. This is
Yes.
everything. I mean, that house that you created into your studio is just beautiful. But
You
tell
know,
everyone about it and how can they find you,
Thank you.
online, and how can they
You know,
search you out?
we found this special property. I mean, I'd always envisioned this large piece of land, almost like a commune with fences around it. And sure enough, we found this. It was this sort of old, but really well taken care of samurai style home. Their old Japanese roofs,
Jesus, yeah.
tatami floors, and then another building which looked like a barn, an abandoned barn. As a lot of homes have several houses on it. And I, converted that barn with the help of one of my father-in-law's master carpenters into this beautiful gym. I mean, it's a 2-floor. I've shipped over a lot of equipment, and for the gym, the yoga studio, the garage, it's incredible. I mean, it's clean. There's showers, washroom, all full service gym. My wife's got a private massage studio, her own entrance there. We put turf down outside so that we teach our yoga classes there. And, I mean, in our gym, or excuse me, in our town of Onjuku, there's no other gyms. So there's sort of, a bit of a niche area for us to
Yes.
reach and promote, longevity, rest, recovery, health. The community there has been really nice. It's a bit of a mix. We've got some foreigners that live in the town, quite a few actually, as well as the Japanese, and it's a surf town. So people are pretty chill, pretty happy, pretty healthy, lots of suntans. And so, I mean, our passion to continue helping people is still there.
Yeah.
I mean, website wise, you can find us at Be Here Now Onjuku. That's our website. And then Turquoise Wellness Studio is on Instagram. Onjuku Be Here Now Instagram. Mr. Exercise on Instagram. I'm about an hour, 15 minutes direct train right to Tokyo Station. So I'm not far.
No.
I'm pretty fortunate that I'm far enough because, I mean, Tokyo is amazing, but it isn't the city that never sleeps in many ways.
Yeah.
But, it's that concrete jungle as well.
Yeah.
Being by nature is really special.
Sounds like you filled that void. I'm surprised to hear that there wasn't much of a fitness studio in.
There was none. There's still, I mean, we're the only one in our town.
Wow.
In some of the surrounding towns, there's a few small ones, but it's great that, we can help a lot of the people there.
Yeah. I love that. Darren, thank you for doing this
And
today,
for me
bud.
as well, my friend. Amazing, Chris.
Should we go for that walk now?
I think we do it. Let's
do it.
let's
All
make it
right.
happen, my friend.
Right on, brother.
Brother, appreciate it.
Now it's time for the 331 podcast featured artists. Jesse and I once rode in a tuk-tuk together through the streets of Bangkok, Thailand. We've been friends for a long time. Now close your eyes and imagine you're at your favorite beach. Here is Jesse Theodore and Chris Russell with their super chill track, Into the Waves. Check this out. What a great song. That was Chris Russell and Jesse Theodore with Into the Waves. Jesse sings in 2 bands right now. Van City Vice play at the Dublin Irish Crossing in Surrey and at the Beer Shack in White Rock. She also plays in a band called The Suits, and you can see them next Saturday, April 18th at Rogers Arena, where they'll play the main stage for the Vancouver Sun Run. That's going to be a super awesome show. Want to thank you, Darren Shane, for meeting me at Waves Coffee Shop in Steveston and sharing your story with us. The positivity and lust for life is just infectious. You can find the links to Darren's studio in Japan and the human trainer in the show notes below. Thanks to all of you for listening. I'm loving putting these shows out there for people to listen to. The appreciation of support I'm getting with friends, from friends and new listeners has been just amazing. My cup is feeling really full these days, so thank you very much. All right, that is the show. If you or someone you know would like to be on the podcast, then please reach out to me at standuppodcast@outlook.com. That's going to be the new show name, is Stand Up. New episodes come out every 3 weeks. Don't forget to follow me on Spotify or Apple or wherever you get your podcasts so you'll never miss an episode. Till then, be kind to each other. I'll talk to you next time. Bye for now.